Hello, Midland, Texas. Very interesting story today, and I've hit before, but maybe not in this way. It's concerning the medical crimes, and I think out of the tens of thousands of crimes here, the homes that are rigged all over the country, burglary, theft, even the multiple murders. I think this is probably the most important, and it's the most important to the average person because we all share medical services. You have an accident, and there's only a couple hospitals to go to. When you call 911, the ambulance comes, etc. That's shared facilities, and I think if there's a doubt or question about the trust of them caregivers, then it must be investigated, because then it's bigger than me. And what I've said before, if they'll maim, mutilate, and dismember me, here the guy that's raising money for the United Way and the homeowner, 28-year company man, home on his own business, they'll do it to anybody, And I mean, and I say that, of course, that really doesn't include the press and the mayor and the city council, because we all know that, right? If somebody broke into the chief of police's house and shot him or his family, it's be front page news, right? There's a difference. There's basically this certain group where you can't break the laws against them, but the rest of us, it's okay to break in our homes and shoot us and cut us up into pieces, destroy our lives with lies, lie in police reports, steal evidence, tamper, get caught, and then the press just ignores it, and that's what's going on here. So let me get started. Facebook post today. They were not my x-rays. That's the name of it. and I created this meme here, and it said, Dr. Hinton compared my x-rays from the 17th to others from the 19th, but I was shot on the 28th. They were not my x-rays. Okay. I mean, and I'm going to show you proof of that here in a second. This is a quick read. They were not my x-rays. I found triple proof showing that my x-rays were faked. That is not a what if or could be. It's not my opinion, my assessment. It's a fact. They took the x-rays of somebody else that had been shot with a shotgun and then put my name on them. And why? Because I wasn't shot with a shotgun. I was shot with a .45 handgun loaded with a plastic tip pellet-filled bullet to make it appear that I had been shot with a shotgun, because they were trying to call this a failed murder an accident. That's what was going on. That way they could claim this failed murder was an accident, so there wouldn't be an investigation. Because what an investigation does, it sends people to prison, Now, if I died as was planned and my murder was ruled an accident by MPD Detective Rosie Rodriguez, now remember, she's the one that closed the case, and she turned out to be the lifelong friend of the ex-wife. And I went on, then her lifelong friend, my ex-wife, was going to get an extra $500,000. And I've shown that in videos before, that the life insurance booklets were taken, and that, if my murder was ruled an accident by her friend, it added $500,000. But there was already a total of $1.6 million. But the big prize, of course, was this rigged home with its hidden access, 3-bedroom underground home in the backyard, and where they was having the oil show parties, and where they've had multiple murders, etc., whatever, and in caps, they chose murder just like they chose to cut off my leg. Okay, let that sink in. These are modern day monsters. The public would have an uproar if they found out the truth. They're rigging private homes and shooting unsuspecting homeowners, and if they crawl out and survive, they start dismembering them. This is done with the help of a secret police gang and a press that's on the side of these cold-blooded killers. And that once again, that's not a fake. That's what the evidence shows. Not Buddy's assessment. I mean, it's the facts. I've laid it out. You can't be more clear in what's going on here. First comment down. I said, make sure that you watch this video today, as it leaves no doubt to the horrific and nightmarish medical crimes being allowed, which makes millions and millions of dollars. These monster doctors are a risk to your family and your lives. And so this video right here is called Dr. Glass's Wife. And there was a reason I named it that, but basically it's the medical crimes video, a fact-filled video. You know, because it's one thing for Buddy to say this, but it's a whole different thing when I'm showing you the medical records and the evidence that proves what's going on. I said, and my next comment says, you can tell this wasn't a typo since it's 2 different dates. And I'm suspecting they used the x-rays from the guy shot on the January 17th and put my name on them. Maybe this other guy getting shot gave them the idea how to kill me and call it an accident. The ex-wife had told me with 100% sincerity that the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. This report was from Dr. Hinton, okay? And I'm going to pull this up and explain this. This was dated here April 12th. Remember, I'm ambushed and shot on January 28, 2012. And here when you go down, it shows that the x-rays, the injury date was 1/17/12 right here, clinical history, and then compared x-rays to 1/19/12. So there's 2 different dates of x-rays, and they did a comparison, and he did his write-up as his radiologist. He's an x-ray doctor, and here's I saw this and I saw this and the one on this one on the 17th on the 19th and all that, and none of it means anything because it wasn't on my x-rays. I shot on the 28th. That was 11 days after this. I didn't have x-rays on the 17th. I didn't have x-rays on the 19th. He wasn't looking at my x-rays. So we know somebody else was shot with a shotgun in the same foot 11 days before me. And I believe that guy is who they took his x-rays and put my name on them. And that's why the ones I got are faked. And that's what I'm saying. And it's signed by Dr. Thomas Hinton. And here's the date on April 12th. Okay. Lori Dodson transcribed this. Okay. And so then the big question, who was shot on January 17th, 2012? I did another Facebook post today, and I was saying I was driving in my cul-de-sac, and at 3811, Fair Circle, which is the corner house, I seen a guy on crutches, okay? And this is right after I shot, and he had a splint on the same leg that I did, looked just like mine, and he's about my weight, height, etc. And I think I seen that same guy at my doctor's office, and I wondered if that guy at 3811 Fair Circle wasn't the guy that was shot right here on January 17th on the x-ray. They also had x-rays on the 19th. Now, an investigator can go find that out. A real law enforcement person, somebody trying to stop these monster doctors from maiming, mutilating, dismembering, crime victims and patients and covering up capital crimes, because that's what's going on. This is parsed from the medical record. It's the emergency room report. And I'm going to show you here. And I broke it down here. I had to go through. And the ER doctor here, he orders 3 x-rays at 11:37. Remember, I was crawling out of my house 10:42 because I had been ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. That's why I had to crawl out to save my life. So I make it to the hospital, and the ER doctor orders 3 x-rays, okay, at 11:37. And that's real important, 3 of them, okay? And then at 11:41, the secret lab tech named User Interface cancels the doctor's orders. Okay, and so that was what? 4 minutes later, for whatever unknown reason, the secret lab tech cancels the doctor's orders and then reorders 2 x-rays. Okay, and so you're going, now, well, why did those secret lab tech user interface do that? And we see that when we see the x-rays because they're time stamped 10 minutes before they're ordered. They were already working on them. Okay, user in interface was. And what was user in interface doing? Taking that, taking somebody else's x-rays and putting my name on them. And I bet you it was the guy that was shot on January 17th in the same foot. Okay. Now, also, I didn't find this out until after after I left the hospital and all that. But come to find out, the ER doctor that had ordered them x-rays was my brother-in-law, of the brother-in-law of the ex-wife from the 3-month marriage. Remember, she had told me, and I testified, we're going to go over that in a minute. She had told me the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit. She didn't say her brother-in-law was one of those doctors. Actually, she didn't even tell me that there was a doctor in the family. I found that out after I shot and after he was my doctor on the night it's proven x-rays were faked. He's the guy that ordered 3, and then user interface canceled it. Okay, so here's the next comment. I found the EOB, an explanation of benefits, from my insurance company showing me that Dr. Hinton, the same guy that looked at the radiological report, charged us, me and my insurance company, for x-rays on the night I was shot, which is the night that it's proven the x-rays were faked. And that is when they were faked by still secret lab tech user interface. What if Dr. Hinton was really user and interface and he was the one that faked my x-rays? I think law enforcement should ask him this question. I think everybody watching this can agree that we need to know, you know, who the medical staff is working on us, especially if they're working for organized crime and they're faking x-rays and dismembering crime victims, you know. And I tried to get that and the hospital wouldn't give it to me, you know, and I've only turned this in to FBI and the Texas Rangers and the sheriff and everybody else, and somebody needs to find out, you know. But here is the EOB, explanation of benefits. Okay, $76 Dr. Hinton billed for January 28, 2012. That's the night I'm shot. His name isn't on the medical records, okay? So I wonder if he was user in interface and he signed in with that other name to hide what, you know, who he was because he was faking x-rays. But I don't know that, right? But I think he needs to be asked that by legitimate law enforcement. In 2017, there was another doctor named Wimpy was arrested for child sex crimes. So I Googled his name, and to my surprise, I saw where he worked out of the same office as my brother-in-law, who was the ER doctor on that I shot, and Dr. Hinton, the guy who I suspected may be user in the interface and had done them, had looked at them x-rays in April. Remember? I showed you right off the beginning. So here's the radiologist, and Wimpy, charged with aggravated sexual assault of a child, whatever. And this was, I'm looking for a date on it, April 9th, 2017, okay? And then so I just Googled him, and when I did, I found out his business address was at the same address as the brother-in-law or the ER doctor and Dr. Hinton. So all three of them are probably buddies. And you know, and I have suspected child sex trafficking was going on in association with the underground facility. I was told there's pedophile parties being held down there, you know, and I believe that's where the young girls were at the prostitution parties, for the oil show parties, etc. Okay. Here's my next comment. Tabor Construction Company, it's a now defunct company, was the builder of my home and the others in the small cul-de-sac on Fair Circle. I went to the courthouse and I looked this up in the records, the property records. While researching them, I noticed they had a business address at 3217 Mark Lane. I just Googled that. I looked up the deed history for that home at midcad.org. Anybody can do that, okay? And I saw where my former brother-in-law, the ER doctor, remember, I didn't even know the ER doctor was my brother-in-law on the night I'm shot. He used to own the same home, okay? That made me wonder if that doctor knew about this home being rigged and the underground bunker in the backyard, okay? And I'm going to show you that because I just Googled that. Here's Tabor Construction. Okay, and there's that listed address, 3217 Mark Lane. Okay, and then you go over here to MidCAD, the Midland County Appraisal District, and you can look up that address and then look up the deed history, and you'll see. And of course, I don't speak the name of the brother-in-law because of the protective order here, you know, and then that's a whole nother story. Remember the ex-wife that alleged to be involved in the shooting, filed a protective order, and she lived 100 miles away and seen a doctor in a year and a half, and her and her childhood friend Rosie Rodriguez get up there and perjure themselves and lie, right? That's what happened. But also interesting, the vice president of Tabor Construction, who built my home, Aaron Geibel, okay, and he died on the famous Clayton Williams 1990 plane crash, and that's when Clayton Williams, the billionaire oil man, was running for governor of Texas. 5 of his executives died on this plane crash on Valentine's Day. So Aaron Geibel was one of them, and he was the vice president of the builders of my house. Ain't that interesting? Okay. Another guy died on plane was Randy Kidwell. Randy Kidwell was married to Suzanne. Suzanne goes on to marry U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway, and her brother John LeJean used to live at a house across the street from my home before I moved here. And so that company's forfeited existence right there. Y'all can Google that, look that up on midcad.org. But very interesting. The ER doctor, my brother-in-law didn't know about, owned the same property as the builder of my home did. So I wonder if that doctor knew about this home being rigged, the underground facility, the parties, and all the other crimes. A few weeks before I was ambushed and shot, the ex-wife told me with 100% sincerity, the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. She didn't tell me that her brother-in-law was a doctor, and I didn't find that out. Until he was the ER doctor until after my X-rays were faked at the ER. I testified to this under oath at the protective order hearing, as this is a clear danger to all citizens. Remember, I mentioned the protective order hearing that's been thrown in my face 100 times. Remember, I'm the crime victim, survivor of a capital murder attempt, and she's alleged to be involved in the murder attempt. And again, that's where we found out that her friend was was Rosie Rodriguez. She's the one who closed my case, And part of this is missing, and I need to delete that file. I grabbed the wrong one. But basically, the secret is a group of doctors killing people for profit. That's what that should be in there. And like I said, that was... I made that mistake before. I need to delete that file and just so I have the good one. And I was making a GIF file. But either way, a few weeks before I was ambushed and shot, the ex-wife told me with 100% sincerity, the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. She didn't tell me that her brother-in-law was a doctor, and I didn't find that out. He was a doctor, and basically I copied and pasted that same thing. Okay, but at the bottom I said, I told this to Texas Ranger Strain, who was assigned my case after Attorney General Paxton advised me to contact the Texas Rangers PIU group. Okay, and so that's a lot there, but I was contacting the Texas Attorney General Paxton. His office suggested I contact the Texas Rangers PIU, the Public Integrity Unit, and that was for a reason, because it's a public integrity case, and they pulled a quick one on me and assigned local ranger Texas Jeffrey Strain. And so I'm having to deal with this local ranger that's most likely a friend of people that are involved in the crimes here, the secret police, etc. And I was concerned with bias, and I think that's probably happened too, because this is all you can see. And this email is in 2017 to Jeffrey Stein. I was also blind carbon copying the Department of Justice and the Inspector General on this, which I've copied on others. And I told him in there, but I believe the biggest crime that I was told by the ex concerning the doctors was concerning the doctors. She whispered in my ear with 100% sincerity, the secret is that a group of doctors kill people for profit. Now, I don't have that one recorded. I have many incredible other statements recorded. I recorded an FBI agent telling me he's going to shred evidence posted on the internet, right? I recorded a sheriff candidate telling me our last sheriff used to hang out in underground facilities here, right? I got plenty of things recorded, but I don't have that recorded, but I hope you take my word for it, because it's very serious, okay? And obviously, I'm telling the truth. Jeffrey Strain, Texas Ranger, says, how would a doctor make money killing people? And that was one of his few comments. And I said, I don't know. Why don't you ask the person who told me? She's the one that I recorded. I also recorded her, and admitting to felony extortion. And you know what she said on this recording, which is now a video, Follow the Money? She said that if I didn't pay her around $1,800 a month over the crimes at this house, she was going to tell everybody I was crazy. And guess what? I didn't pay her, and her friend Rosie Rodriguez went to court and testified under oath that I was crazy because I didn't pay her extortion money. Okay, and I'm telling Strain, you got her for extortion. She admitted to it on tape. Now use that and go ask her. These doctors are killing people for profit. But that was 3 years ago. Okay, and the point I was making is that not only did I get a hold of. I told not only the court and the Rangers, but also the FBI here. And that's what I'm saying here. In 2016, I mailed this packet of evidence right here to the FBI in June 2016. And it contained the evidence of these medical crimes. Now, there's a lot more known. Remember, in 2016, we didn't even know who the secret police were back then. Okay? But FBI had the same evidence. And then last year, I provided a packet of evidence to the Homeland Security. Okay, a whole set of stories about Homeland Security. Remember, they met me at the Home Depot. I showed them where I thought the tunnels were. 2 weeks later, the ground's dug up. They're pouring concrete, right? You remember the DHS agent that says, I don't understand why you don't sell that house. And here I'm trying to get him to bust this crime ring that's murdering little kids. And anyway, it was provided to Homeland Security too. And once again, this one, and then I also sent this in in 2015 to the Texas Medical Board, okay? And this was the email I got, and they told me it's being sent to the Enforcement Division for me to be patient, and then all of a sudden it just mysteriously went away. Be patient 25 years ago. Absolute undeniable proof of falsified x-rays. And if they'll falsify my x-rays, they'll falsify yours. Makes $1 million. You go in there and you got a bruise on your arm, they cut your arm off and charge you $100,000. You know, they see a spot on your lung. How do you know it's your lung? You don't know it's your lung. You're trusting them, and then when their trust is questioned, nobody does anything about it. That's what's going on. They can make as much money as they want faking these x-rays. My former brother-in-law, the ER doctor, said it appears to have been sustained by a shotgun blast. His choice of words made me wonder if he knew that I'd been shot with a .45 handgun loaded with a plastic pellet-filled bullet to make it appear that way. Okay, and there's reasons that I have another video called How to Get Away with Murder, and I'm showing the evidence in there that shows that, you know, I got a person documented saying a shot with a .45. ER doctor says there's a lot of plastic, which fits the plastic bullets, and the size of pellets fit the specifications for a Glazer safety slug, which is a plastic pellet-filled bullet. And what would that do? It would make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun, okay? And why would they want to make it appear that way? Is because I wasn't shot with my shotgun. Somebody else shot me. There was not enough physical room to be shot with a shotgun in that little utility room. They shot me with a handgun loaded with a plastic tip pellet-filled bullet, and we're going to call it and say I shot myself, and I was supposed to die. Remember that? The ex-wife was supposed to get rich, you know, the lifelong friend of Rosie Rodriguez is supposed to be rich right now. They're supposed to be having pedophile parties in the underground facility in the backyard right now. The plan wasn't for Buddy to crawl out, or God save his life, and to crawl out and live and be making this video today. My first proof of faked x-rays came at the office of Dr. Glass, the late Dr. Glass. He's no longer alive. We went and took x-rays on this old machine. Then he come in the room and hung up on them on the wall. Beside it, I hung up a copy of an x-ray taken 4 months before the murder attempt, which shows that my toe bone was broken in half. But the x-ray he brought out didn't show that the bone was ever broken because it wasn't my foot. Okay, so that was when I very first figured out they were faking my x-rays, and it was at the office of Dr. Glass. Now legitimate law enforcement could go subpoena them records and get all that, and interview the clerk and the nurses, and because Dr. Glass no longer alive, but you could go back and find this evidence because I took this with a 1912 phone, took these pictures, but basically I'm showing here the break wasn't there, and I have a whole story that goes along with that, because I questioned him on that, and he started stuttering. He just busted as could be, oh, you can see the break going this way, and he went the wrong way, He's making it up as he's going. Just lying is what he's doing. And my second proof of faked x-rays was when I noticed the x-ray dated before the surgery was missing the heel bone, and I knew that my heel bone wasn't shot off. The ER doctor stated himself on reports I had a through-and-through gunshot wound, which I had seen myself. This was the foot of some other guy, and most likely the one shot on the 17th, and who I'd seen at the doctor's office, and I believe I also saw him in the front yard at 3811 Fair Circle. I was then taken into surgery where they cut off my heel bone to match the faked x-ray. Let that sink in. This x-ray was taken 4 months before the murder attempt. I broke my toe. That's why I have an x-ray I can use for comparison. Now pay attention to the heel bone. That's the calcaneus bone. This x-ray is dated 1/28/12, the night that I'm shot. Look at the pellet field and all that. Now look at the heel bone, okay? Can you see that the heel bone's gone? I hadn't had surgery yet. I didn't have surgery until the 29th, okay? So that's not my foot, because it didn't shoot off my heel bone. And you can even see it here. It's them pellets on my foot. I believe this is the guy that was shot on the 17th with the shotgun, and also had x-rays on the 19th. That's believe, and all they did was put my name on the top here. And remember, our user in interface canceled the doctor's orders for 3 x-rays and changed it to 2 x-rays and bought x-rays out that were time-stamped before they were ordered. And why? Because he was faking the x-rays. That's what was going on, And so here they fake my x-rays. Then they take me into surgery and they cut off my heel bone. So now, you know, they're trying to make it look like I'm shot with a 12-gauge shotgun when I wasn't. Remember, the evidence shows I was not shot with a 12-gauge shotgun, you know, and that's why it's believed I'm shot with a .45 handgun loaded with a Glazer safety slug, but I was maimed and mutilated to make it look like I was shot with a 12-gauge shotgun. And why would you want to do that? Because they were covering up a failed murder that's going to make the sister-in-law of the ER doctor rich, right? Most important thing, once again, was this underground facility in the backyard, okay? We all know where it's at and everything, okay? So 2 surgeries here. And this surgery was the one on the 29th, the night that I'm shot. A little later that night, it started at 1:44 a.m., okay? And here's your everybody but the surgeon, okay? Carlos Morales, and he is the surgical assistant, and that's the person law enforcement should be having a serious talk with, because he knows what's going on. Candace Morgan, circulate. Edward Carter, that's a doctor anesthesiologist. Mandy Meadows, circulator. And a Soren Kotuna, scrub tech. This is on the first surgery on the first night. And this is the second surgery 3 days later. Oh, and this is when they were trying to get me to agree to a below-the-knee amputation, and I wouldn't do it. And I believe what they're trying to do is cut off the evidence. They didn't want anybody to see what they had done to me, because I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, and dismembered to cover up a home invasion and failed murder. Now remember, nobody accidentally breaks into a private home and accidentally shoots a homeowner. I don't care if there's a burglar trapped in the bathroom at all. That burglar should have been arrested, and they left my house, but somebody come in and broke in my home and shot me by surprise, okay? And that's a dangerous criminal, and it might be some corrupt police here in town. Once again, second surgery, Carlos Morales, the surgical assistant. Law enforcement needs to talk to him. Joe Dyer, he's the anesthesiologist on the second one. James Anastasio and Chardon Williams, scrub tech, and you know, I mean, this affects the health and safety of the public. It truly is. It's important to you and your family, because you know you could have a car accident and there's only one hospital to go to here, and that's where you're going to go, and you're going to put all your trust in here. And are you even going to suspect that they took the X-rays of somebody else and put your name on it and they lied to you? Because that's how evil and greedy they are. This is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.